Hi, welcome to Knitting My Shit Together. The total brain fart. Hi, welcome to Knitting My Shit Together. The total brain fart. A knitting and fiber arts podcast where neurodivergence and yarn collide. My name is Farrah. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And you can find me on Ravelry at Farrah Knits and Instagram at TomboyFembags.
Hi, I'm Annika. I use they, them pronouns, and I am in Moses Lake, Washington. You can find me online on Ravelry at Threadcatcher and on Instagram at T-Fueled Living.
T-Fueled Diving.
T-Fueled Diving. Don't look for that because you won't find anything.
You won't.
I have searched to see if there was a T-Fueled Diving, and there's not.
So let's talk about our Cal. There's so many Cals launching today. We're recording today on September 2nd. And I'm going to edit we normally record Sundays, but yesterday was a funky day for both of us.
So we took a self-care Sunday instead.
We did. We did. And so we're recording today, and hopefully I can get this edited and out today, albeit it will probably be later in the evening than is typical, but that's okay. Anywho, we have so many Cals got released today. Like a whole bunch are starting. And I'm going to be honest, I've been really tempted by Stephen West's mystery knit-along.
I don't like mystery knit-alongs. I hate surprises if I know that they're coming. And so mystery knit-alongs just stress me out.
I like them. I don't like surprises in some things, like people randomly breaking up with me in the middle of a major depressive episode. But I do like surprises. Just off the cuff, just off the top of my head. But I do like surprises in knitting. Except for if it's a surprise when things go wrong. That's less fun.
I hate surprises if I know that they're coming. I like being truly surprised. Like actually surprised. Like surprise presents are my favorite. But I hate if I know that there's a surprise coming and I have to wait to find out like what the surprise is or how it's going to play out. Like, I find it incredibly stressful.
Yeah, and I'll say us and our friend group, we're terrible at surprises.
We are so bad.
Because I think we all love, like, we have this friend group and we buy and make each other shit all the time. And we're, like, so excited to give the person it, and we have to mail things because we all live. And so we always show each other before. I do anyway.
I don't think I've shown anything to the actual person.
You haven't.
That I've sent stuff to. Like, I've called you when I'm like, do you think Sultan would like this? Or do you think so-and-so would like this? And you'll be like, yeah. And then I've done that with, like, stuff for other people. But I don't think I've shown, like, the actual person.
I have. I already showed Sultan the bag I made for it. But I haven't shown you. And I'm not going to. I keep saying hopefully it will mail this week, but then I keep like, oh, but I have to make this and add it, and
It's all good.
It's all good. Okay, so Cals, a whole bunch of Cals happened. I really want to do this. So what's cool is Stephen West, you know, he co-owns Stephen and Penelope Yarn Shop in Amsterdam. And for the Cal, they put together a set of kits specifically made by LGBTQIA plus and BIPOC yarn dyers.
Cool.
I was looking at this Grello La Bien Amie kit that was like 140 euros.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Boy.
I want to go to there, but I resisted because we have our Cal coming up, and I generally suck at Cals, and I want to do our Cals, and so for me to be able to do that, I need to not be in a million Cals. You're good at Cals, aren't you, I'll bet?
I love Cals because they give you a time pressure, and like that really works with my executive dysfunction disorder. So like Cals really, really work for me because it's like the right amount of pressure that I need to like actually get crap done. So
see, for me, It's not for my executive function disorder, because this is the deal. For me, pressure only works if there is truly a reward, a tangible reward or punishment at the end. So like for school, time pressures and deadlines work because I'm like, if I don't turn this in, I'm gonna fail. That's like real. A real reward works. But just like, I don't think I'm competitive enough for other stuff, because if like I'm like, well, big whoop, I won't finish it, like that's not significant.
And I'm super, super competitive, so
yeah, that might be the difference. I'm gonna try tilting my screen.
Probably.
There, better.
I'm
light.
super competitive.
Yeah, you're more competitive than I am in that thing. I'm competitive in some stuff, just not knitting. Competitive knitting. Which seems like a total oxymoron, but it's not.
No.
What was fun is when I was a yoga teacher and I would see people trying to attempt to participate in their practice in our classes in competitive yoga. Like, I'm like, there's no yoga Olympics. There probably is, but there shouldn't be. Like, there's no, like, you're not going to get a gold star or something in this class for, like, doing 10 push-ups in the middle of each half series you do, which you're just not. Like, I'm not giving out suckers at the end of class.
Disappointing right there.
I know. Okay, so our
I probably would have gone to more yoga classes if I got an actual reward at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So our Cal, now that we've gone utterly tangential, our Cal is October 1st to March 31st, and it is called the Cover Your Ass Cal. You can do posts and by using the hashtag Cover Your Ass, and that's how you join. And we, you can go to our Ravelry group, which I will put our Ravelry group info here, or you can find it in our link tree too on Instagram for more details. But basically, we are going to be, the featured pattern is Elizabeth Zimmerman's Nether Garments. But you can do any pattern that will cover your ass. So like if you live in a warm weather place and you want to do a skirt or shorts or whatever. But
you don't want to do knit long underwear or leggings. That's understandable.
Yeah, that's okay. So go get involved in our Ravelry group. We are going to do a group virtual cast-on party on the October 1st, 12:01 a.m. And feel free to join that wherever you are in the world, even if it won't be October 1st for you yet. Also, we have merit badge patch design in the works. I have found a graphic designer who I am doing a meeting with on Tuesday, tomorrow, and going to be working on those. So we're going to do merit badges for the Knitting My Shit Together podcast, because why not? So I should have the design finalized, I don't know when, within a couple weeks with her, and I'll do that announcement about the details about that next week, and then you can see them and pre-order a patch, because we should be able to have prices and everything up and a link, and you can pre-order one. And you'll be able to pre-order a patch for being a subscriber for Knitting My Shit Together, even if you don't do the Cal. But you should do the Cal because it's going to be fun. So it's going to go for 6 months. So it's a size-inclusive pattern. You have significant time to finish it. You can do it in any weight yarn because it's a recipe, not a pattern. And yeah, so if you would rather do yours in DK or worsted or whatever, you can. I'm doing mine in fingering weight.
I'm doing mine in fingering weight too, and I probably will do one in worsted as well. On the note of yarn and pattern and whatnot, if you need financial assistance getting the pattern or getting yarn for the knit along, don't die. Please let Farrah or I know, and we can help get you set up with what you need.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get on to some knitting content before we do our mental health moment today. Yeah. All right, what are your FOs? Do you have any FOs, Annika?
I have no FOs.
Okay, but you've been knitting your little heart out.
I have so many whips. But they're all like, I'm at this point where like I can see the finish line for several of them. I'm really excited. So yeah, I have a lot of whips, but no FOs. But next week I will have lots of FOs.
I had 2 FOs. But I can't show either of them because they are with my youngest at their college dorm room. I finished the final sock for Issa's college box o' socks, and I also finished their hat. So the end hand knit haul they ended up in getting was 6 pairs of socks, a hat, a brioche hat, and a sweater, which I think is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely finishing the hat at 3 a.m. before they left, but I'm up at 3 a.m. all the time anyway, so that's not remarkable for me, but yeah. It was good times, and so now they have hand knits.
Sweet.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't shrink them. Especially that sweater. Like, I don't care about the socks, really. But I care about the sweater. Okay, so neither of us has FOs to share. Winning. Okay, whips. Go, Annika.
Oh, okay. I have a bunch. Okay, so the first whip that I have, is if I can actually get it out of the bag. Oof, okay. I finished minus the heel, sock number 1 of the slip stitch design that Yelly has for socks, and this is knit in Knit Picks Felicia yarn in the Playhouse colorway, and the toes and cuff and going to be the heels are done in Premier Yarn's Deborah Norval Serenity sock weight yarn, and I'm really confused. I'm like seriously wondering if someone switched the tags on these because I have 3 skeins of this, and it is like very obviously a charcoal gray, like very obviously a charcoal gray. The colorway says that it's navy blue.
Okay, because you know what I was going to say, but knowing that it could just be the light, I was going to say from here over the camera, it looks like a plum.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like it's not blue. Like it's not a blue gray. I don't know. It's a red gray, and the colorway is apparently navy blue. So go figure. I don't know. I also should note that I am knitting these on US 2s, toe up, and yes. So that's one whip that I have this week. Another whip that I have this week, which I'm almost done with, is sock number 2. This is Tom's Horseshoe socks by the Jewel Knitter. And I'm testing them, and I'm almost done with sock 2. Like, it's so close. I just have the toe left.
I love
and then
them.
I am done. I'm so happy. And then this was knit out of hand-dyed sock yarn. Woo! And I dyed myself. You get the...
I decided in my next box, I'm not only sending you naked fiber to dye for me, but I'm sending you... Remember a long time ago, I bought 2 skeins of Knit Picks Felici Sock Bear. Because I was like, oh, I'll experiment with dyeing. I'm not. I'm going to send them to you to dye for me. Because I'm just like, I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
I can't add another thing. Yeah.
All right. And then my last whip for this week, or for this past week, is I am test knitting the framework bralette for Jessie May. And the yarn that I'm using was lovingly hand dyed by Sultan for me. It's Lorna Lace's Grasshopper colorway. And since I'm such a tight knitter, when I swatched it, I had to go up needle sizes. So I'm using US 4s and US 5s instead of US 3s and US 4s like the pattern originally calls for, because I had to go up to get gauge. And like, just look how beautiful this is. Like,
I love it.
This yarn is just, I'm in love.
Can you hold up that middle seam thing again? Right there? The thing in the middle of the frame. You know what I mean? That seam. Can I see that? Is it just pearls?
Yeah.
Like reverse stockinette, basically?
It's a pearl section. So when the pattern, you knit it in stockinette for a while, and then you flip it inside out, and you get like this false seam thing going on.
Huh.
And it's so cool.
Cool. Okay, I have to quick grab a Lara bar because my stomach is growling. I'm hungry. So, a Lara bar.
Yes.
Okay. Those are lovely. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
I bought the Ripple Bralette pattern, and that's going to be another one of my cast-ons soon, because
it's on my list. I really, really want to make
my
it.
boobs warm in the winter.
Yes. Hawari Bazaar Company has BTS-inspired yarns, and
what's BTS?
BTS.
Oh, is that your K-pop band you like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One of the K-pop bands I'm obsessed with, yes. But they have BTS-inspired yarn, and I forgot who made one out of Ann Pan Man. It's gorgeous, but I really want to make one out of the Serendipity colorway because it's so pretty.
Is DTS the group you showed me who like are doing high-level calisthenic, like cardiovascular
dancing
while the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to put a link on that, folks. If you want to go watch this video, we'll share the link in the comments below.
I'll share my favorite of theirs. How about that?
It's intense.
Yeah.
I think when you showed me, you were like, what do you think? And I responded, I'm like, I think we have remarkably low expectations for American pop singers after watching.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Whips for me.
Yeah.
I have 3 I'm going to talk about today. The first is socks. My next pair of striped socks. Blurg. There. That got all tangled up in the Progress Keeper. Because it's my bunny Progress Keeper. So this is my rabbit Progress Keeper from Firefly Notes. It's a bunny. And these are the socks. Okay, I am loving it. First off, I did a post about this week on Instagram. First off, Annika bought me this yarn when they were in Texas, and it is from Roundtable Yarns. It is the Lancelot base. No.
Merlin base.
It's the Merlin base, and the colorway is Hard Rock like Lancelot. And it's blue, gold, and dark gray striped. I love it. Here's what's cool. Annika bought me this months ago, and I didn't remember it. Like, you know, you don't remember the colors of all the yarns you have, and I made this sock bag for myself, and it totally freaking matches. Boom. Okay. I love this because I like the tonal, like, painterly aspect of the stripes. I love it.
So pretty.
It's really fun, and I will be getting lots of good bus knitting done with this. Bus and transit knitting, because my classes start this next week.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm only going to take 2 this semester. My psychiatrist and therapist think I should only take 2 rather than 3, given everything. So I am going to take German because I have to take 4 semesters of a foreign language, so I figure I might as well get 1 under my belt. Like, I should commit to that. And then I'm going to take a creative writing class. There was an American Lit survey class I need to take too, but I'm like, Or I can take creative writing and German, which both sound fun. And that was my earliest class, the American Lit, which started at like 11. So I'm going to drop that one. And then my earliest class will be 2 o'clock.
Nice.
Which is like winning. Okay. My next whip is this. So the hat I knit for my youngest Issa was the Skip hat by Jared Flood. And I knit that one for them in Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And I loved the pattern so much, I was like, I am going to knit one for myself, except one color, just because I want a simple hat. I'm going to knit several of these hats, I think, over the course of time. But I am knitting this for myself. It's the Skip hat by Jared Flood, and I am knitting it in Forest Fiber Arts Lake Life colorway. I love Nikki's yarn. I love how this is dyeing up or knitting up. And it's so smushy. I wish you could all feel it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So this will be another good in-class knit because I have to do like 7 1/4 inches before I do the decreases. So this will be another good listening to lectures.
Yeah.
In-class knit for the week. So yeah, that's my second whip. My third whip is a story. So as you'll all remember, I was knitting, and if you're new here, hi, welcome, because you might not remember if you're new here and not a regular viewer, but if you're a regular viewer, you might remember, welcome to you too. I was working on the Spring Cleaning Shawl by Stephen West, and I had gotten to section 5, which I knit up in this from Stitch Together Studios. This was the surprise color of the month, I think, for April or May. I can't remember. And I've tried to look and I can't find it. But I knit this up into section 5. And then I was like, I only had 2 sections left. And I was like, I'm going to stop and find the perfect color yarn for section 6 and 7. And I found one that I want to use, which is Lake Life by Muse 2320 Fiber Arts. However, when I went to go pick it up, not only was my stitch count off, but I couldn't even remember the general pattern, how I got there, all the things. So at first, Annika was with me online last night, and I started trying to figure it out. And I just realized I would have to rip so slowly backwards and keep recounting that it would probably be quicker to just rip out section 5 and re-knit it. So I did. So I put this on Instagram last night too. ADHD pro tip. Don't do that. Like, don't wait to find the perfect yarn. Unless you are willing, unless you write down, unless you know your stitch count was on, you write down what you were doing and take really good notes. So I will be recasting on or knitting section 5. I'll probably try and get started on that later today, since this is kind of the least portable project I have, and my others I'll be able to do in class and on transit. Although I only have class Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, this week. I don't know. Yeah. So those are my whips.
Sweet.
Yay. Okay. Now it is time for the mental health moment. Mental health moment. And we are going to begin today's mental health moment with a content warning. Today's mental health moment, we are going to discuss eating disorders, and that can be a really hard, triggery topic for all kinds of people. So, if you think you are in a place where that would be too hard for you to hear or listen to, we completely get it. And so we want you to fast forward to see the end of our show, and you can do that by fast forwarding to the time, which I'll try and put in a thing up here or else in a bar down here. Just fast forward to that time, and then you can watch. And we're just going to give you a pause. We're going to just pause for a second to give you a chance to do that. And then we're going to talk about it. Okay. So, I wanted to talk about eating disorders this week because I want to break some of the myths around them. And I'll share a little bit of my story. Annika can share whatever they want to share. Yeah. So this week at therapy, I was given a new diagnosis, an additional diagnosis. It wasn't one that like erased all the other ones and was like, no, you just have this. It's like, no, here's something to add to the cornucopia.
Wouldn't it be so nice just be like given like one blanket diagnosis and be like, this is all I have, instead of here's the list that I have to fully remember to tell you.
And just so people know, I want to address this too. What my therapist told me. Because one reason why I think, okay, so I was diagnosed with binge eating disorder, which I know I have struggled with for most of my life, probably since adolescence. And when I would go, when I've thought, like, what is wrong with me? And when I've gone and look at the diagnostic criteria for it, or like the self-assessment tests online, I was always like, oh, I've done all of those things. But I think I didn't bring it up before to my therapist or another mental health practitioner because I felt shame about like adding one more fucking thing to the list of like what isn't wrong. And I think there can be lots of stigma and shame around that, but this is what I want to share if anyone else is in the same boat. Don't feel that way, because my therapist said, you know, mental illnesses and disorders, they happen in clusters. They don't just happen singularly, because what happens generally is you already have a predisposition to stuff, and then one thing will rear its head, and then if you don't get early intervention from your family or whatever, and I didn't because it was the 80s, then what happens is you develop unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with that one, which cycles and can build a whole bunch of other ones. And so usually it will like trigger another thing, and which will trigger another thing, so you develop bad it's just all a vicious spiral. But I say that to say I just decided to not feel shame about my list of 5 now, the DSM things, but just to be okay. The goal in life will be, as long as I've had sex with more people than I have mental health diagnoses. Maybe. Maybe that should be the life goals, which I have. But, you know, I don't know. So, I've known it's something I struggled with, and so I said to her, because we had to review my treatment plan, and so I said to her, like, do you think I have binge eating disorder? And she was like, yeah. I totally do. I have for a while. I think she was waiting for me to bring it up, or until it was at a point where we had to. And so I think this can break a common myth or stereotype about eating disorders. So I have, and it's so hard to talk about eating disorders and weight and all of that without sounding so dumb. So I have a naturally thin frame. I just do. And so what that means is I can pile on a lot of weight and people not really tell as much of a difference. Or people, because I think there's the stereotype that if you have binge eating disorder, you must be fat. And I'm not. That's just not my metabolism. and other things and a whole slew of things. And so I think, like, before, when I brought up to other people the concept of binge eating disorder, like, I might be struggling with it, they poo-pooed it, because they're like, there's no way you have binge eating disorder, look at you. And even my psychiatrist, when I told her, I'm like, yeah, and I binge eat, like, one of the first sessions I saw her, I think she didn't believe it even, and she was like, oh, and plus, not only do I have a naturally thin frame, but generally I'm pretty active in terms of bike commuting and all of that. And she was, so, like, right now, I weigh 30 pounds more than I did a year and a half ago. And that's from binge eating. And I don't feel, I'm not like hating, like, I can accept my body totally how it is right now. So I'm not like, I have to change my weight. I'm like, I have to stop binge eating because it's, what it is it's not healthy for me in this way. It's not mentally healthy for me. Because binge eating, I always get a virus definition update during our recording come up on my screen. Binge eating is about not having to deal with negative emotions or unwanted emotions. It's about, I'm feeling these things that I don't like. How do I not only punish myself, but also, this is what it is for me. Get out of my body in a way, like get detached from my body, consume in something that's instantly pleasure, like, you know, sugar, fat, all of that, it triggers pleasure centers in your brain. Even if I'm going to feel shit later, it's like about escaping that and not being able to sit with discomfort is what it's about for me. So that's like one, I think, myth and stigma around eating disorders. Yeah. And now I'm actually tackling and working on it, like actively working on it now.
I think, too, like, my part of the story needs to be here to go along with that part of the myth. And I personally struggle from orthorexia and have been diagnosed with orthorexia and with EDNOS, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified.
But that, just so you know, I'm just going to say this so people know. If you go to nationaleatingdisorders.org, EDNOS has been updated in the latest version of the DSM. In the DSM-5, EDNOS has been changed to other things.
Yes. So the thing is that the eating disorder behaviors that I struggle with are the same that a thinner person than me would be diagnosed with anorexia. Because I didn't personally have enough weight loss or didn't have enough malnutrition, I guess you could say, when I got diagnosed and when I started dealing with it with my psychiatrist and with my therapist, I didn't meet the criteria for anorexia, but I have the same symptoms. So, and I am a very fat person, and so, like, looking at me, you wouldn't be like, oh, that person has a restrictive eating disorder. Like,
I just think it's funny because, and I think I'm going to do a social media post about this, and I told people this, like, I want to put, and I cleared this with Annika before I said I was going to do it, but, like, side-by-side pictures of us, if you and I were to walk down the street and ask people which one of these two individuals struggles from binge eating disorder and which one struggles with anorexia, I think most people would pick wrong.
Yeah. And for me, my fall into anorexia and into orthorexia weren't 100% fueled by the fact that I hated that I was fat. Like, outside of very specific instances, like, I have no issue with my body and whatnot. For me, it was a control issue, and the fact that I felt so out of control with everything else going on in my life, between like chronic illness, issues popping up, and relationship issues, and like just general life stresses. I felt so out of control out of everything that like the fall into disordered eating behaviors just was like the one way that I could seek control and get it. So,
and I think control is a big thing for me too, because it's kind of like I'm having this emotion that I feel like I hate and I have no control over, but I can control this.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me. It wasn't necessarily the emotion. It was everything else in my life is so out of control, but I can control this one specific thing, and no one else will have any say in it, and I can personally just do this. And
yeah. And it was funny. So my psychiatrist, when she was doing my intake, I said, yeah, I think I binge eat too. And I kind of looked at me, and I'm just going to caveat this. My psychiatrist is wonderful, an amazing doctor, and I love seeing her. So this isn't me criticizing her, because she did ask good follow-up questions. So she was kind of skeptical, and she said, okay, but when you say you binge, tell me, what does that look like exactly? And so I described what a binge eating episode is for me. I'm like, oh, so I go and I get this and this and this, and I gave her the list, and then I eat it all in one sitting. And she looked at me and she was like, wow, yep, that's binge eating.
Yeah, and it was the same for me when I talked to my therapist about it. I'm like, so I'm pretty sure that what is going on with me is anorexia, because I've only been eating this many calories, and I've been like fastidiously tracking it, and like I have this issue now where like I just can't even eat these specific foods because they aren't clean enough. And that list kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And my therapist at first was like literally like looked me up and down, was like, I don't know that you do. And I'm like, here's the deal. I've dropped X number of pounds in the past 3 weeks. Like, this is all I've eaten. And then my therapist was like, oh, no, yeah, you do. So.
Yeah. And the thing that's tricky that my therapist mentioned too is that eating disorders can be really tricky to treat, because, like, for me, let's say I was struggling with alcohol addiction. Like, you don't need to consume alcohol to live. But I do need to consume food to live. And so it's tricky.
It is.
Yeah.
And I find it hard too at this point with, like, I have to be very intentional about the healthy behaviors that I set for myself, because like even just a small slip outside of those healthy behaviors and like will like starts the mental slide back to, oh, you should start partaking in the disordered eating behaviors again to gain control. And it's really difficult to deal with on some days.
And it's hard too, because I think for me, this is what shows me that eating disorders, it's a disease and it's not like a willpower game at all. Trust me. Like, I've identified certain foods that trigger binge eating behaviors for me. I just have trigger foods. And it's like you have this temptation in the beginning to want to think like, oh, I can have some of these in moderation. Like, I can control this. And you can't. And so then you have to go the way of like total abstinence, of like, no, you can't do that. Like, you have to abstain from these foods. And for me, it's not it's a very small list of foods, you know what I mean? And it's not a broad category of foods, so it's not like all things with carbs are triggering, not at all. It's like certain things, like pizza is really triggering to me. Like it's hard for me. I can't just like order a pizza and have 2 slices and be good. I tried this week. It did not work. And so that made me realize, okay, this is on the list, you know, and it's just like a learning process, I think. And yeah. And then, you know, I'm in recovery. I'll abstain and down the road re-examine that, you know?
Yeah.
Or re-examine ways to have it. Like maybe not ordering a pizza, but like going somewhere where I can get pizza by the slice and have a slice and then leave. And I'll experiment with that. I don't know. We'll see.
The thing that I've found the most hopeful in all of this so far is going and finding, like, once I figured out that, like, with the help of my therapist, that, like, it was a control issue for me, and that was, like, the big basis behind these behaviors, was to go and find other areas in my life where I can exude control in a healthy way.
Yeah.
That will, like, not impact my eating.
Yeah.
But the other thing too was that helped me a bunch, especially when starting the recovery journey, was making, what's the word I'm looking for? Making scheduled times to do specific behaviors. And like for me, especially, it was eating. Like, I still have alarms on my phone that remind me to eat, because on hard days, it'll be like, oh, like, I want to see, you should see how long you can go without eating. And then, like, thankfully, like, the alarms have my brain trained of like, oh, the alarm goes off, we need to eat right now. And yeah.
So, I was going to go over this whole list, but I don't know that I'm going to, because I just don't want to be uber triggering to folks, you know what I mean? So, I just wanted to give this resource. If you are struggling with an eating disorder, or think you are, or don't know, a good website is, you can go to nationaleatingdisorders.org, and we'll put a link in the drop-down box. Also, emilysproject.org. We'll put a link to both of those in the down box. If you live outside the U.S., if you just enter like the name of the country you live in and put eating disorders, there are, generally speaking, great resources in a lot of places. Yeah. Or you could call one of the info lines that I give a link to international resources, and they might have good places you could go to in your country. And so I think that's it. I think we'll wrap up with the mental health moment anyway there. And yeah, if you have questions about this, if you're going to comment on this, please comment in very general terms, not very specific terms, for folks who might be triggered, and maybe just write CW before, for content warning, if you're going to talk about stuff that could be triggering to folks. Yeah. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll end the mental health moment here. And now we'll pick up with some closing thoughts. So we're doing lives. We go live on Wednesdays and Fridays on Instagram. Generally in the afternoon, like usually it's whenever I wake up. So generally between noon and 1 Central Daylight Time, which is UTC -5. Although, this week on Wednesday, you guys might be seeing me live from my school.
Ooh.
Because I'll be on campus. Because I won't be. Because my first class is at 2. I might be. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, The lives are fun.
They are.
Like this one we did this last week was really, really good. We had really good conversation going with folks, and it was really good. So you should join our live. We have good, like, we had a really good talk about all the Caitlin Hunter stuff that went down, but it wasn't really that specifically. We, like, went much more broad with it, I believe. And we're talking about, like, the whole prom queen phenomenon that Mega W posted about in Instagram, and yeah, it was good. Do you have any thoughts? Or any? It doesn't have to be about the lives. It can be about anything.
No, I have like 3 songs playing concurrently in my head.
What are they?
And just my brain right now is just like too much is going on, I guess.
So. That's cool. Okay. Yeah. So that's it, folks. Thanks for joining us this week. And we will see you on Wednesday. And hopefully I'll get this up and edited and everything in time. I should. It's what I'm going to do next. So, okay. So, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Yes. And so we will see you all next week. Annika, stay on, if you don't mind. And
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.